Within the spoilers for chapter 506 of Fairy Tail, we witnessed Erza temporarily stop the battle between Natsu and Gray. Now, I say temporarily because I highly doubt that this fight is done for good. I doubt Erza has any effect whatsoever on Natsu's E.N.D transformation, which will inevitably continue the Natsu versus Gray fight, seeing as it's a tumor, and tumors can't be affected by something like that, just something as like, you know, an outside effect, if you will, but that's completely besides the point. Two of the panels that follow very soon after the panel that Erza initially stops Natsu and Gray, and actually showcases the fact that Natsu caused one of Erza's arms to actually burn and to blister, and then in Gray's case, the arm that she stopped him with actually seems to be cracking. When I saw her arm cracking, I questioned why it was doing that. I mean, like, sure, her stopping the force behind Gray's punch would do some damage to her, it's inevitable, but cracking her arm? Like, that's just abnormal to say the very least. Now, I was actually going to do a video on this theory a long time ago, but there was really no evidence at the time that I felt was backing it enough. But with this panel, one of the very first things that I asked was if Erza was even a human. Now, as I said before, this is incredibly abnormal. You would never see an arm crack from the outside in any instance, and especially from the force of a punch. We all know about the huge question right now that is circulating throughout the community when it comes to Fairy Tail, and that question is, what is Erza and Eileen's ultimate connection to one another? Now, many are saying that they could be sisters, and then others, including myself, are saying that Eileen is actually Erza's mother, but then there's a few that are saying that Erza could actually be one of Eileen's enchantments. When I initially saw this panel in the spoilers and then began questioning if Erza was actually even a real human, this community theory immediately popped up in my head, and when I began actually thoroughly thinking it through, I began to question, is it possible that Erza could actually be one of Eileen's enchantments? Now, to start, this would actually explain why Nineheart, one of Eileen's enchantments, knows who Erza is. Now, as a recap, when Nineheart actually initially located Erza, he immediately reported back to Eileen and said something along the lines of, "I have located Lady Erza." Many, including myself, at this time found this to be really weird. One, that he knows her name to begin with, and two, that he referred to as Lady Erza. But it would have made a ton of sense if Erza were to have been an enchantment, seeing as Nineheart would have most likely have known Erza at the time, and if Erza were to have been an enchantment of Eileen's, I'm guessing that one, Erza was probably intended to be the strongest enchantment of Eileen's, and two, that Eileen actually held her to high regard. That could actually be why Nineheart referred to as Lady Erza. Now, this part actually comes from my initial theory on their connection. At the time, as I said before, I believed it was a mother and daughter connection, and I said that Eileen could have actually thrown Erza to the side because Erza wasn't strong enough to satisfy Eileen's expectations at the time, and at her age, Eileen had expectations that exceeded Erza's capabilities just way too much. But in the instance that Erza were to be supposedly Eileen's strongest enchantment, what if Eileen got rid of Erza simply because Erza wasn't as strong as she expected her to be when he made her? This last part here is an absolutely huge speculation. I warn you guys right now, this is probably not going to come true anytime soon. Now, when people try to prove that Erza is actually Eileen's daughter, they use a scar on Eileen's abdomen as a possible evidence to a C-section when Erza was born. But if Erza were to be Eileen's enchantment, then where did that scar come from? Well, as I said, this is a huge speculation, but what if the scar came from a life or death surgery that Eileen had that in return caused her to never be able to birth a child? Now, this could be explaining why Eileen actually initially made Erza an enchantment that represented herself so much, but as I said before, this theory is just way out there. Nevertheless, I want you guys to actually voice your opinions in the comment section below. Do you guys believe that Erza could actually be an enchantment of Eileen's? Like this video, show your support, and subscribe if you haven't. Peace.